Hello folks, this is John again, and today we are going to check out Perfect Room, a reverb plugin from Denise Audio. I think that's how you pronounce it, right? Like the name, Denise. In any case, TLDR, this plugin really deserves the name Perfect Room. It just works on pretty much anything I throw at it. I'm pretty sure at this point I'm just going to use this 90% of the time, because usually I have the trouble of finding the right reverb for different applications, and I end up looking through my arsenal of reverb plugins and impulse responses and whatnot, and then they either end up too harsh and need to EQ them like an idiot, or they end up too dark and I still need to EQ them and fill with the settings and blah. But this thing, you just throw it on something and it sounds beautiful. So let's go through it a little bit. How about we start off with a snare drum? Right now this is loaded on my snare drum reverb FX send channel, and what you see here, this is all actually turned off. So now it's loaded up with the default settings. So let's turn up the mix to 100%. Let's take a listen. You can already hear it has a lot of potential. It sounds very nicely balanced. There's no harshness ringing, there's no boominess just flubbing around. So let's start tweaking this a little bit, shall we? For example, let's turn down the tail first so it's not too long and nicely snappy. Let's put in some pre-delay, which always works great for snare. When you hit Control, you can fine-tune it. So let's go to about 40. That's usually my starting point. And of course, now you could turn down the output and whatnot. But for demonstration's sake, let's keep this loud so we can really hear it. And now perhaps this is too bright. We could use the low pass filter for that. Or instead, we could just change the mode from flat to dark. This adds a really nice body to the snare in my opinion. So now we could use a little bit of high pass filter so it doesn't get too boomy down there, too muddy in the mix. If it's a bit too wide, well, let's turn on the width. It just works, sounds great. Perhaps we want to keep it on flat so it's a bit brighter and adds a little bit more snap and splatter to the snare. Especially when you turn on the width on the snare reverb, it feels more like it's part of the actual snare sound and less like a reverb that's going on all over the place. So that sounds pretty nice. Now let's say you want to have a kind of gated reverb sound. Well, this is where this button up here comes in place. This sets how the reverb actually tails off. Right now it's natural. If we put it to triangle, then it tails off in a linear fashion, which makes it sound like it goes on much longer than it's actually set to. But then the last bit of tail off, it doesn't just ring on forever, and which would add some kind of noise floor that we don't want in a full mix, but rather the last bit of tail just kind of dies down nicely and quickly without being obnoxious, and it keeps the very low end of the noise floor of a mix just very tight and clean, so it doesn't clutter up the mix. Hang on, let's solo this. So if that is what you wanted to go for some kind of electronic song, then there you have it. No need to set up compressor and gate and whatnot. It's just there, one button, and you got it. Okay, let's check it out on some clean guitar. First, let's try a very nice, rich, ethereal, kind of very big, unnatural, out-of-world, spacey sound. So that's what we get to work with. And now let's just add this again. Default settings. Sounds already pretty nice as it is. But now let's go a little bit balls to the walls here. Let's set it to triangle. You can hear it adds this really great big space, but then it doesn't just tail on forever. It's very, very nice, very well thought out, in my opinion. Now from here, we could tweak it again a little bit. Let's set it to dark, but perhaps put a little bit of high pass filter in there. Let's raise the tail all the way up, see what happens. Not too shabby, not too shabby. Now let's check out, while we're here, these three different effects. First we have shimmer. So you see, shimmer just adds an octave above, an octave below of the dry signal into the reverb. And this makes any guitar kind of sound like an organ. It's pretty cool. And then with this little speaker button, you can just turn off the effect. Now let's check out detune. That also sounds very beautiful. I think it adds so much of a creative side to this reverb. It's not just something that gives something space that sounds great, but also you can just go a little bit nuts with it. And now Ducker also pretty much does what it says it does. Let's turn this mix to 100% and check this out. So it's kind of a sidechain compressor on the reverb that's being triggered by the dry signal. And this would be great, for example, for vocals. So the reverb kind of stays out of the way of the vocals when they are going, but then in between vocal lines, the reverb can come up again. So this is also very neat and very handy just to have it within the plugin itself. You don't need to set it up as sidechain compressor, whatever. And the default settings also work really well. All you really have to do is just raise the percentage and then you're pretty much good to go. It's great. Now let's check it out on some more chordy stuff. And now I kind of wish there was a default preset, but in the preset list there is no default preset. That would definitely be handy if we had a default button or something, if we just want to try it out and fiddle around, and we fiddle around a little bit too much and we want to start from scratch. Having a default preset would be great. Let me just return it all to default really quick. We can leave these off. Do like this, like this, like this, like this. Okay. So you see, even with the default sound, again, it just sounds great. So all you gotta do, turn on mix perhaps. Perhaps turn down the tail so it doesn't sound like a big hall. And there you go. it just works. Let's also check it out again with some of the other modes in here. It sounds beautiful. Really, really nice. Also as a slapback delay, kind of, it works perfectly fine. Just great. Okay, now let's check it out on some vocals.
There it goes, my mind. It's growing cold from all this. It's getting late and I've been losing sleep.
Again, default settings. I mean, what's going on here? It sounds too good to be true, to be honest. In my opinion, again, I've always struggled with reverb, as I said at the beginning, so having a reverb plugin that actually just sounds good once you load it up on anything that you throw at it, I love it.
There it goes, my mind. It's growing cold from all this. It's getting late and I'm losing sleep. I'm trying to find a safe place, a quiet time to rebase, but all these voices keep on flooding me. Oh yeah. Think for yourself, you're not their puppet, so don't be a slave.
Okay, now let's check out some presets here for vocals. We got large room, lead.
There it goes, my mind. It's growing cold from all this.
That's pretty cool. So they use triangle mode here for this, and it gives it again this big open space, but at the same time the tail is just being nicely cut off and keeps things clean at low levels. Oh, my god. So again, this, I'm praising it too much, I think. Okay, let's check out super large ambient.
Trying to find a safe place, a quiet time to rebase, but all these voices keep on flooding me. Oh yeah.
Wow. And last one, super short room.
There it goes, my mind. It's growing cold from all this. It's getting late and I've been losing sleep. I'm trying to find a safe place, a quiet time to rebase.
This is cool. So this acts kind of like just the first stage of adding width and a bit of depth and some slapback to the vocals without giving it a real definitive room and space. It's just to thicken up the vocals. Very good preset. I like it. I like this plugin. I highly recommend it. Really check it out. If there was anything negative I would have to say about this, I guess it's that it's lacking a default preset. And I would also wish for a button that turns off the dry signal so you can only listen to the reverb to quickly tweak some stuff. And on a personal note, I guess the UI, the design of the UI looks a little bit stripped down for my taste. I personally very much enjoy good looking plugins because then I'm also motivated to work with those plugins and I'm motivated to get the best out of them. But that's really just me, I think, and it's not important whatsoever. What's important is what it sounds like, and this sounds amazing and I highly recommend it. And one last thing that you definitely gotta watch out for, this plugin adds quite a bit of latency, like over 4,000 samples. So you can't really use it to monitor in real time on your guitar tracks, for example. It's really rather something you would use for the mixing stage, not recording. If you have been struggling to get a good reverb sound on your material, then please take a look at this. When I first heard of this, I thought, yeah, this is pretty cool. I could probably make use of it. But I didn't actually expect it to make me use it pretty much all the time from now on. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you next time.